Hello, Rahim.
Hello, hello.
Oh yeah. So I'm here to accompany you today.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess we're not waiting for anyone else. Can I start, or should we wait a little bit more? I shall show my beautiful face again with my paintings that you're all familiar with. All right, so I say let's get started. Um, like we did for the last 2 weeks or the last two sessions. Please join the live polls for today. Uh, the interaction is always fun, and I get to see where your guys are at and see if there's anything missing. And yeah, excited. So today we're going to cover the second half of domain four. We're going to do the four subdomains, as you can see. We're going to build upon what we did the last two sessions or the last session. And there are some corrections I will make from last session. There were one or two things that said incorrectly that I'd like to clarify later today. All right, let me just test it right now. Yeah, so today's agenda, we're going to do a small recap question poll for last session's topics. Then we're going to go through all four subdomains, and then we're going to wrap. So today we'll do something a little different. So we're going to teach it. We're going to do some questions on it, and then this time around, I actually have some coding examples to show you to kind of integrate, and you can see sort of the applications of the stuff that we're learning. I know not everyone here is from a coding background, so I'll try not to spend too much time on it, but I think it might be helpful a little bit. So let's kick off today with a small poll one recap, see where everyone's at, and then we can start digging into the new material. All right, let me put this down here. So this is only two, so I'm going to give you guys a minute, and then I'm going to go back here so you can see the poll QR code. So I'm gonna get a timer. Let's give you guys a minute or two. Um, yeah, so hopefully because I know one of you guys last week asked for like an example of the prompt. So I figured going forward, having some sort of code version of it can give you a little bit more structure in your head about what it is. So also while I'm waiting for people to stuff, as we go through this today, there are going to be some things that are going to be a little new to you, right? Like tools, because we change the order of the domains to best fit sort of somebody with a non-technical background. But by doing so, some stuff in this subdomain or in this section uh, build upon a different domain, mainly being the tool one for at least for today. But I'll give a small rundown of it so you don't have to like you won't be completely lost. And if it still doesn't make sense to you, then we can I'll try to re-explain it in a different way then. Okay. So I got 3 responses. That's good. And yeah, that's completely right, right? Yeah, high false positives, vague criteria, and then yeah, generation of log. Not enough diversity for handling edge cases. So awesome, you guys nailed it. Okay. Yeah. So 4.3 is structured output and tool use. We're going to learn how the 4 options on how you can call a tool, and then also how to get structured output, meaning like you're doing like a data extraction pipeline, right? Like you're using Claude to pull information. Like my example last week, let's doing a job posting, right? Like I have a big long job posting, and I want like the salary, I want the skills, I want the experience, right? So I'm trying to get all this information out of this prompt. So the biggest one here is basically you want to use tool use and a JSON schema. So a tool use is, as you can, we'll learn, let's go do it right now actually. So the 4 tool choices is auto. Auto is basically the default, right? The model can either return just text or it can return text and a tool call, right? And remember, tool calls, Claude will request them. Claude will request it. It'll send it back to you, us, the client, right? Or us, the client, and then we're going to execute the tool on our side. Remember, the LLM is just predicting next tokens. It actually can't do like addition by itself. It has to use a tool to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, the 4 tools that we're going to use, or the 4 choices, is auto, which is like the default, which is I can call a tool, but I don't have to. Tool choice any is you must call a tool, right? This is really good for the example would be, let's say you're doing, like I said before, a data extraction pipeline, and you have a specific tool for like scraping out PDFs, scraping CSVs, or scraping some other format, JSON, let's say even JSON. Any will force it to pick one of those tools, but you want it to call a tool, so that's when you use any. Or you want to use a tool, you want Claude to pick a tool to use. Clarify, because the third example is forced, and that's making it pick a specific tool. You make it pick a tool. And then sort of the vocabulary here for the nullable and optional field. When you're defining sort of, let's go back, right? Let's go to JSON schema first. So we'll have the tool use, we'll have a JSON schema. So the JSON schema is like a defined data structure. Is that the best way I would describe it? Right? Kind of like a CSV where you have like, if you have columns or like title, back to the job, title, salary, remote, right? So those are like the 3 keys. And then you have the fields for it, right? So like if I have salary, I can't put like dog, right? Because it doesn't really, I'm expecting a number. So when you use a tool and you have the JSON schema, it will force Claude to actually give you a proper formatted data, or formatted response. Response is the right word. This is important because in the sense that when you do your prompting, or you're giving an instruction to Claude, and let's say you're like, people can do, please return in JSON format, right? So yeah, so please return in JSON format. It's like when you put it in a prompt, it becomes more of a suggestion. So with the tool use and JSON schema, it will contractually enforce the response to return the given JSON schema. And on that topic, the reason why this is important is the nullable optional field is when you have this schema, right? Like I want this information, this information, this information. One of the big problems that we're going to talk about today is what if the field is missing, right? Like let's say like we have a customer onboarding, I guess, right? And like we have like a field for, we have like in the prompt or in the file, we have like some people put in their phone number and some people don't put in their phone number, right? If we don't have a nullable field, right, and it's required, this is what causes hallucination, right? Because the model is like, like you told me it's in here, so I'm going to find the best thing that I can find that looks like what I'm going to give you. Uh, and generally speaking, hallucinations are really bad because like they uh, they sneak by, right? Because you think that it's a valid response when it's completely incorrect. So you always want to avoid, requiring something that might not be there because that will make the model hallucinate. Um, oh, here we go. So yeah, nullable fields. Yeah, talked before. The phone number extraction. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. Um, yeah, so then it'll look like maybe even find like an invoice number or some sort of other like digit another like a digit format like a invoice number or something like that, right? So it'll hallucinate, which is what we want to avoid. But like I said before, when we do it with a tool extraction, it's going to be validated. It's going to be syntactically correct, right? It's not going to be malformed, like missing a quote or missing a bracket or anything like that. Uh, but what it doesn't do is it's it's like its schema is correct, but semantically it's incorrect, right? So the big example here, you know, I keep using this example. Um, uh, we have a bunch of line items that we extracted, right? And the line items, we sum it up and it's $92. But when we look at the actual file, we also pull in the fact that this like the total on the form was 100, right? So now there's this, mathematically the line items are summing to 92, but our total says 100. There's a mismatch, and that's a semantic error, right? So just based on the extraction alone, semantic errors can still propagate. And we'll go through sort of how to correct that downstream. Okay. So this is important too. This will be tested. So if you have noticed, you use Claude, it has like a mode called extended thinking. You can think of it as like, yeah, like what it means is like, I'm going to think harder. Or you tell it to go think harder. The extended thinking isn't usable with any or forced to call. It has to be done with auto or none. Um, so you'll see like maybe a question, maybe one or two, probably more close to one. But you can only use extended thinking with auto and none. Uh, it's the big trick, right? So just when you see this, you're like, yes, not to use that. A lot of times too, in the questions that are wrong, like on the choices that are wrong, it'll suggest that like extended thinking will fix this. Most of the time, when you encounter that specific option, it's probably incorrect, like that in temperature. Um, yeah, here we go. So if you're let's go through one by one. So the first one, like I said before, is you have an extraction task, right? And they're like three different ones. But you know that the task is to extract. Uh, don't use auto, right? Because auto, it might not use it. Extraction tasks should just be explicitly, kind of called. And like I said before, when you're doing the extraction call, right, you want to use any when you want to force it, but you also want it to pick which of the three tools or like three or four, whatever, X tools would be best for the job, as opposed to just doing the manual tool call and passing in the exact extraction. So when it comes to for extraction tests, remember it's don't use auto, don't use none. When it's between any and tool or any and specific tool, use any when you have different number of extraction tools. I'm going to go through an example after this. Don't worry about the tools if you're confused. Yep. Second one is requiring everything in the schema to be required. Like I said before, when you make it required, Claude's like, okay, I know it's in here because you told me it's here, so I'm going to find the best possible match, right? And like debugging that downstream is kind of, it's harder because it says it found it, right? But it's like a miscommunication. Next is saying like the valid JSON treated as correct data. That's what I was talking about before between the line items and the total, right? They can be semantically, it's structurally correct, but it's semantically incorrect, right? We need to be able to do stuff to make sure that, those line items get remediated later downstream. The fourth one, like I said before, is just the tool choice, right? You can only use auto or none with extended thinking. Sometimes they'll ask you questions on this topic, like, should I switch to extended thinking based on this criteria? And most of the time, it's not. Uh, there's a trick question here. I'll come back. I think I can remember that one. Last one is so I did not touch on this one, actually. This is an important one. So an enum is sort of like, let's say, like, uh, let's say like what are they called? What are they called? Class. Like we have different classes, like teaching classes, like science, math, English, right? Those are like enums. These are the possibilities, that I can choose from, right? Like a set of choices that I can choose from for a field. It's important to have an other field in case that like of the choices that we have in our available set, if none of them match, having the other field would mean like Claude can redirect that choice to other, as opposed to like hallucin. Not it's still a hallucination, but not as bad as the other ones. But it might just pick the best match, right? So if we have this other field, we can sort of like retroactively look at the others, like the specific extractions that have the other field, and then sort of get a better idea of like maybe what category we're missing. Um, yeah, and so this basically just it doesn't force Claude to pick something that it doesn't want to pick because it has to pick. Um, yeah, okay, so let's go structured output. What to remember? Yeah, tool use with schema guarantees the shape, not the truth. Tool choice auto is just the model blend where it can respond or it can call a tool. Force name tool is just calling the specific tool. Enum plus others is, like I said before, making Claude not pick from a small set and giving it the option to go like, hey, it's kind of none of these, right? Extended thinking and tool choice is just like I said before, you can only do extended thinking with auto and none. Tool choice any, you must call a tool. Nullable optional field, prevent hallucinations. Syntax for semantic error, like I said before, syntactically is structurally correct, semantically is meaning incorrect, which is like the tool thing. But yeah, that covers for this section. So let's jump into a quiz. Right. Poll two. Yeah, let's do it. Open the poll. Let's see where you guys are at. I give you guys like a minute and a half because I'm going to show you some other stuff too on this topic. I guess for those listening, I'll read out the question while you guys are picking. A pipeline needs extended thinking to choose between three extraction tools and a guarantee that some tool is always called. Which configuration satisfies both? wait for the three people to respond. And then for your note takers, yep, the first choice is tool choice any with extended thinking enable, a force name tool with extended thinking enable, cycling the force name via a pre-classification step, tool choice auto with extended thinking enabled, plus a system prompt, strongly steering towards one of the three tools. And lastly, extended thinking with no tools defined, parse the tool choice out of Claude's free text reasoning afterwards. Just wait for the one more. Okay. Okay. Now you can look where I'm looking. So yeah, the first choice is incorrect just because, like I said before, extended thinking only works with auto and none. So that makes A wrong, and it also, yeah. Then for B, force name tool, extended thinking enable. Same thing as A, can't pick it. Extended thinking doesn't work with force tool calls. And it kind of, yeah. And then three is the right answer. Right, we have to use auto or none to get extended thinking. And then if we are using auto or none, but we want extraction, so auto, right? Because none, we want to call, we have to steer the prompt into sort of the right tool. Um, so this is one of the trickier kind of configurations. Cool. So I'm gonna stop the poll. And then now what's a little different is I got code snippets for you guys. All right, nice. So this is like a message, right? I know some of you don't have a coding background, so I'll try to make it quick, but like also, a little bit easier, right? So you can just think of model as the different models, right? There's Fable, Opus, Haiku, stuff like that. See, when we talk to Claude, we're giving it a list of tools, right? So this is a list of tools. These brackets indicate a list data type, right? We have our tool choice, obviously pass. So we have auto here, any here, and here's an example of a specific tool, right? You type in the type tool, and then you can actually give the name of the specific tool. Here, review finding tool, right here, these matches. And then same with none, right? And then remember before LLMs, we have to post the whole message history. So like when we send this off, this is our first message. And then as we're talking to Claude back and forth, that this message array right here is just going to keep on growing, right? Because that's the context for the conversation. And then here, I want to give you an example of a JSON schema, right? So a tool, the main important parts to know about a tool right away is, you have a name for the tool, and then you have a description of the tool. We'll go more into this in a later domain, but basically the description of the tool is when you have, so let's say we have tool A, tool B, tool C, right, that we passed in this tools array, right? Claude, when it looks at our prompt, right, prompt being the message, it's going to read all of these descriptions from the tool, and it's based on that description is when the model will pick which tool it wants to use, right? So like here, right, let's get different kinds of flags, but each of these tools, like flag, will have a different description such that Claude can pick the correct tool downstream. The other one here I wanted to show you is here, right? So this is like a JSON schema object. You can look it up. You don't need to know this for the exam for the most part. You just have to know a little bit of just remember if we have requirements and it's not in the document, it's going to cause the model to hallucinate. So it's important to only make things required that are actually, 100% are going to be required. This is an example of a renum or an enum, right? So like there's four different things, enumeration, but these are the four choices that I have. You might be wondering why this one doesn't have the other severity. It doesn't need another, right? It's like a bounded problem, right? Between 0 and 100. Like you're not going to get a -1. So this is perfectly acceptable. And then here, like here, this is an optional one, right? So like, what's the suggested fix for this PR issue, right? Or code review, right? And it's optional, right? You also add when you're giving the schema, this JSON schema, you also know that it's actually using the description field that I'm highlighting right here, right? So like it knows to like, this is it'll read the type, the column name, it'll semantically interpret some of that data, then it'll look at the description and go like, okay, I don't need to have this, but if there is something, I should give it. So these descriptions are important. Like I said, though, you're not going to be quizzed on actually like implementing this, but you should know the takeaways of like having the other, knowing when to do things required, stuff like that. And then I had one more example. Here, just to give you an idea more of tools. So like I have this add tool, right? Add two numbers together. My input schema is going to be like, I want A and B, right? And their type number. I have to have an A and B, right? I get a message right here, right? And I sent the message, what's, 47 plus 58. The model sees this question right here, right? And it's like, oh, they want me to add numbers together. So I'm going to give you A and B, which is 57 and 48. And then so remember, so Claude's actually not doing the addition. It's giving us a tool call back to us, and it's going to, we have to calculate the sum ourselves, and then we return that message with the addition, and then it'll be like, hey, it's 105 here, for example. But yeah, that's tools. Cool. That's example four. That's domain 4.3 in a nutshell. Next one. So now that we covered structured, right? Structured responses of like, like getting back feedback or data extraction is the canonical domain for 4.3. We're going to do validation and retries. Validation would be like, to correct that line item mismatch and stuff, right? The semantic errors that we have issues with. So two failure things like 4.3, you get the valid JSON. 4.4, this one, we get the correct data, right? It's fixing semantic errors. And the big question of 4.4 is differentiating between it being wrong and it not being there, right? There's a difference between, I missed the phone number when I was reading this document, compared to like the phone number just isn't there. So yeah, each of those different, right? So the I missed the phone number and there is no phone number are kind of like two paths that we can kind of do, but they require different treatment. So yeah, canonical example, stated total 100, line item 92. We can actually design the schema to actually do both, calculate both. And then if there's a conflict, do something basically. And then one of the biggest common themes when it comes to failures, when it comes to Claude and agents, is that sometimes you want to retry and then sometimes you don't want to retry, right? Like at the high level, like, if the phone number isn't in the document, right? Like it just isn't. Retrying on that is just wasted tokens, and it's there's nothing that's going to change to make that number appear, right? But on the flip side, if I'm missing like I missed the phone number when I went through it the first time, I go like, hey, you met like so I get it back. Then I want you to retry with look for the number again, right? We know it's in there. So then it can retry a different thing. But when it comes to retries, you want to give rich error messages to the model, right? So like if you say just retry, it's going to do the same thing. But if you give it like, you tried this didn't work, try something else, then the model actually has an opportunity to fix itself and try something different. Yeah, let's keep going. So here's sort of the architecture, right, on the retry, right? So you extract document into data, you validate the response. If there's no error, you accept it. If errors are found, is it retriable? And then here, actually, this is a good chance to do this. One sec. This might be more helpful. Okay. Okay. All right. So, oh my God, let me know if this is legible. All right. We extract, we validate, right? Uh, if if there's no errors, no error, right? We just accept it. Uh, yes, error, right? Oh my God, this is so bad. Is it retriable? Um, if yes, give feedback. Right. And then, retry, right? And then can I scoot over? Yeah, awesome. Yeah. And no, right? If it's not retriable, right? We can either accept it or more likely we can push it to human review, right? So it's sort of like a good pipeline of how to deal with sort of the data extraction and validation steps. Um, so that diagram that I just did is this step just abstracted into moving parts right here. So we got this, yeah, no errors, we accept it. Errors found, is it retriable? If retriable, here's important part. Retry with the same document, you give the extraction, the specific errors, and then it'll revalidate and go back to the top of the loop of the diagram. And then if it's not retriable, we can either accept it or more likely have a human review it. Let's examine. So yeah, these are the big gotchas when retry. So before, first one is retrying when there's something when the thing is actually not there, right? That's going to just waste tokens basically. Generic try again, right? There's no the second one, try again. There's no context on how to adjust, right? So you kind of like imagine if you're like just shooting basketballs and you're really new to it and you have no idea what you're doing muscle wise. But if you have a coach and the coach gives you feedback on your form, you can actually adjust your shots. The no detected pattern field. Like I said before, you want that other enum, right? So, or not, this is actually different. It's good to have a detected pattern field in extractions to classify sort of the problem itself, such that when we do this detected pattern field, we can look back and retroactively fix the pipeline based on this detected pattern. This new it detects a pattern that that it keeps seeing. So then you want to dig deeper into it. So detected pattern field gives you an option to kind of adjust your pipeline by retroactively looking back on what the model did. The fourth trick, right, is basically the semantic versus schema or structural. Structural schema is not enough, right? You need to do the actual data validation. Last one is unlimited retries. Like I said, as if retries if you do retries that aren't helpful, it's just a waste of tokens. Most of the time, you want to cap it to one or two tries, and then if it doesn't work out, escalate to a human. And here, exam trap. Is this retriable is the big decision maker, right? If it's format structural, you want to retry it. If it's absent from the thing, you don't want to retry. Okay, let's go back. So we kind of covered this. Yeah, retry with error feedback, right? If you're going to retry something, give it feedback, let the model fix itself, let it adjust. Conflict detected. So this is when you're going to add another field remember our line item total, right? So line items are 292, total on the thing says 100. There's a conflict between those two things. So we want to put a field in the JSON schema that's, that specify that there's an issue. Because we have that issue, it's easy to go back and look at the data that we got and see which ones were incorrect because it's a field. I'll show you in the example what it might look like. Retriable versus non-retriable, like I said before, is retriable is you want to do something that can actually be, it can be fixed, right? Like the model made a small mistake, so retry it and do it right. Versus non-retriable, which is, the information isn't there. It doesn't matter how many times you retry. It doesn't matter what instructions I give you. It's not going to make it appear. Detected pattern field is, like I said before, is also for like classifying, basically classifies the document to a specific pattern. Um, when I say classify, if you don't know what that means, it means like grouping, right? Like if I had like uh, if I get a picture of an animal, I'm gonna either say it's a dog or a cat, for instance, if those are the only two options. Um, or now we can have other, right? So maybe I get like a bunch of dog and cat photos, and then maybe get like an otter. I don't know, something different. And then semantic versus schema validation is, like I said before, which is the structurally correct JSON versus like the correct data intuitively. Um, yeah. How much time do we have? Oh, we got to go faster. Oh man, this is exciting. Let's do like two polls real quick to see where everyone's at on this data extraction stuff. I'll give you guys like a 90 seconds each. Got the timer right here. And I guess for the people listening and can't join in on the polls, the question is, an extraction tool returns valid JSON, but ship date is null for a document that clearly states a ship date in the body text. Is this retriable? Oh, okay. Okay, that's just a high note. So is this retriable? No, null always means the information is disaster from the source. Yes, this is a misinformed extraction. Present in the source not correctly captured. Only retriable in the document is under 2 pages long. Not retriable, date specifically can never be re-extracted reliably. I'll wait for one more. There's three of you. Mm-hmm. Come on, number three. I'll give them another 15 seconds and then we'll just go through it. Okay. Yeah. So you guys, oh, there we go. Somebody, yeah. So yeah, so remember, so it went through it. It's null, but we know for a fact that it's in there. So null doesn't mean necessarily that it's not in the source, right? It could have missed it the first time, which is why yes is the correct answer, because it missed the extraction. But we know for a fact, right? The second half of the sentence says it's in the text. We know it's for true. So retrying is the right strategy for this specific problem. The other two are third one is kind of nonsensical, right? That doesn't make any sense. And then dates also, right? Well, I don't, yeah, I can't think of a scenario where a date can't be re-extracted reliably. There's no case for that. Cool. Let's do one more question real quick. We'll do this 90 seconds real quick. This will be a little bit harder. we're going to go over. I would say out of the four domains for or subdomains for today, that this is the hardest one to grasp. Mainly because I know you guys haven't seen a lot of tool usage. So the tool use might be really abstract to you guys, but we'll circle back when we get back to those places, and then should help. Okay, still waiting for the last two guys to respond. No pressure, no pressure. Two, okay, one more. Just need that last one. I'm gonna hard cap it, so we'll give it 20 seconds, and then we'll go through it because we still have a half to go. Come on, person three. Yeah. Okay, good. Awesome. You all did it. That's correct, right? I think this problem is a good example of all the other choices are bad, so this got to be the right answer, right? Going from 5 to 10 is just wasted context. Going down to one is not as good, right? Because you want some opportunity to recover. Model temperature is always the wrong answer, just because the way they use it. Remember, temperature is if I'm cold, my probability distribution is pretty rigid. But if I'm hot, temperature's high, I can branch off to more lower probability choices, right? Like you can think of it as the higher the temperature, the more creativity, I would say, or the more non-probabilistic, high probabilistic choices are being made. Cool. We'll do this real fast because we only have a little bit of time. Um, so yeah, so this is like before we had true, right? We have this tool. It's got the name and description. It's got this stated total, right? The total that we pulled out, right? Uh, and then check this out. So we have the calculated total, right? We have a conflict detected, right? Description, if stated total and calculated total are not the same, give me the Boolean, right? So that's useful, right? The flag to see which ones were flagged and why. Um, what else is useful here? Does this have an other? But yeah, so we have the two mismatches. Um, right? We want to retry a couple times. This is like a semantic validation. This is basically saying before, like, hey, it doesn't match. If it doesn't match, you know, this line right here is saying, yeah, calculated total. The claimed one doesn't match the sum line item, stuff like that. And then here you can see like it'll retry a bunch of times. Then if the result gets to like needs human review, if you remember this guy, right? HR is human review, right? So here it queues that review for someone else to pick up down the line. Uh, if there's a conflict detected, remember that I just showed you right up there. Also flag it for review later down the stuff. Otherwise, we just write it. And that's 4.4. So next one, batch processing. Okay, this one's an easy one to grasp. Okay, so there are two different workflows for what's the way to describe this? Different APIs, right? So we have the synchronous API, which is real time, right? Like when you hit that enter button, fire after question, Plot is coming back, sending you a response, as fast as it can. Batch API is I'm going to send you a message and get back to me in under 24 hours, right? So batch API, you can bundle the request up to 100,000 or up to 256 megabytes. And it will give you back responses periodically throughout the day with a hard cap at getting everything sent back to you in 24 hours, right? The reason we like, okay, why would I want a slow response API versus just doing synchronous? The big benefit of batch API is it costs half the price, right? So you save half your, that's a pretty big saving, right? 50% right off the back. And if your current workflow doesn't need real-time responses or blocking stuff, we'll talk more about that. The batch API is the go-to, right? And this will definitely be, you get at least 2-3 questions on this on the exam. Okay, so also vocabulary for this one. You need a custom ID per request, right? So like if I'm going to give when I'm sending a batch of messages, right? Like maybe like let's just say message 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sending it to the batch API. I have to have a custom ID per request because when Claude gets the responses, it's not guaranteed that it's going to send it in the same order, I believe. But you need the custom ID to identify the response, right? So you send the messages, Claude gets back to you eventually. Pair the response with the question based on that custom ID. And this right here is just some regex about the characters allowed for the custom ID. And like I said before, for this one, if you need it right away, synchronous. If you don't, batch. Some other things. The batch API does not support multi-tool calling. So that means if I give it a batch API, there's no way for the batch API to have like a back and forth with you, right? It's only gonna get the message that you sent it. You can give it a tool call if you want, but it's not gonna be able to wait for the tool call from you can't execute anything, right? Like it's literally I send you a bunch of messages, and I give you responses back that are not necessarily, not real time, right? There's up to a 24-hour delay. So that kind of limits a little bit of what it can do. Generally, for this kind of workload, you need the task at hand to like the message itself should contain all the information needed to answer the question. It's tricky, but so it can emit a tool block, but it's not going to wait a request to get back, right? And it kind of makes sense, right? If I'm sending a bunch of messages to you, and you're going to get back to me at any time, like, do I really want to keep a persistent connection open to wait for you, right? Because that'd be a waste of resources. So you can think of that like, yeah, the batch can't have back and forths, right? It's just you send it once, it sends it back. Yeah, but here, this third bullet point, yeah, say it can't reason on the same batch. Yeah. So here's a good question at the bottom. Give pretty much a good example is if you need something with a 30-hour SLA, right? Service level agreement, right? So meaning like I have a hard cap at 30 hours. That means you can send the responses within 6 hours because there's 24-hour response, right? So you can go SLA of 30 minus 24 hours batch means I have 6 hours that I can send stuff in before I break my SLA, or like I have a chance of breaking my SLA. Okay, how much time do we have left? Okay, I gotta talk fast. Batch API is used for blocking workflows, right? Like so, or is batch API is not used for blocking workflows, right? So like if I need a response right away, like I'm a developer, I push some code, it's doing a pre-merge check before the code goes into the code base. You don't want to use batch API, right? Because if it has to 24 hours, that person can't do his task until he gets a response. So that's base case you want to use for the synchronous API. Another couple, a little more nuanced things that I didn't cover. When you get the batch back, some of them are going to fail, right? Like a failure is a possibility. Don't submit the entire batch again, right? You want to identify which ones failed, and then you're going to want to correct the failures, or not correct the failures. You want to find the failures, and then you want to see what was wrong with it, and then you want to resubmit those specific instances of failures. Other one here, another catch. Before you send in your batch messages, you're going to want to do some testing beforehand, right? You want to use the synchronous API. You're going to want to, like work on a couple of examples, refine your prompt, right? So like from section 4.1, 4.2, refine your prompt, do some test cases, do a mini batch, and then eventually do the big batch. And then the last one is custom ID, right? You need the custom ID so you can reattach the ID with some shit. Uh, so you can match the response and or the request and the response together. Um, so we'll do it real quick. Batch API, yep, you want to do it 24-hour window, 50% cost. This is just numbers you need to know. 100,000 requests, 256 megabytes thing. You want a custom ID to couple response and request, or request and response. There's no multi-tool calling with batch. And then so like a lot of stuff might finish under 24 hours, but 24 hours is the hard ceiling. Um, I'm going to show you 6 minutes. I'm going to show you the real quick give you an example so you can see. All right, so like here, so I got review finding tool. I got my PRs right here, right? PR message, and then the comment. Um, where am I getting? Where do I want to show you this? Severity. I want to show the custom ID. Here, right? So these are the requests, right? It's just some Python list comprehension. But here, this is the one to get part, right? So your custom ID, it's getting the PR ID from this guy for the request. Then it builds the whole batch, right? And then this one creates the batch. Um, yeah. So I think this is useful. It's a lot of code, so sorry if it seems too abstract for you. I do have a couple questions on it that I wanted to go through. So let's bang it out. I'll give you guys like a minute or two just to see where you guys are at. And then if we don't have enough time, you guys can't stay. We can cover. I'll cover the last subdomain on Tuesday. I thought we'd have a little bit more time. Just two of you. I'll wait for the two of you to respond, and then we'll just jump to the next question. Cool. Right. Yeah. Batch. Batch is the thing. Sync, right? You don't want sync for something that you can batch, right? That's the best way to think about it. If I can batch it, batch it. If I can't batch it, it's sync. So that gets rid of A and C. 50-50. I mean, this is wrong, but also remember that before you do your batch, you do want to do that pre-processing of prompt refinement and a little bit of testing. So that works good. And then we'll jump to this question real quick. This one might be a little bit tougher. No rush, no rush. This is probably the hardest question I've asked you guys, to be honest, looking at the choices. Okay, I give it 45 seconds. Wait for the last two people to respond. Okay, 15 seconds. Okay, come on, last person. Because we're also at two. Okay, yeah, we'll just go through it. Yep, you got it right. Right. First one is they don't work the same way, so A is wrong. Um, the batch can get tools, it just doesn't allow multi-tool calling, so that's why C is wrong. Um, and then tool choice auto is just a curveball, right? It doesn't actually even make sense in the context, but it sounds kind of right. So you guys nailed it. It's B. It can emit a tool call, but it can't go back and forth. Is the big takeaway. Cool. Um, so that's 4.5. I don't know if we have enough time because it's already 2 to do 4.6. It is one of the easier ones. Um, can anyone not stay over? Let me see chat. Does anyone have a hard stop? And then we can just do it on Tuesday. Okay, if you have a hard stop, 10 minutes. Okay, anyone else? Anyone have a hard stop? And then we can go back. Otherwise, let's I can do it in 10 minutes. So I'm gonna do one of those things where if you do not say you have a hard stop, I'm going to keep going. So um, we'll go over for 10 minutes. All right, cool. Let's go do it. Let's go do it real quick. Okay, so domain, the last domain for the or the last subdomain for this thing is multi-instance, multi-pass review. This is when you want to when you're in when you want to do like a large code base change. Oh my god, am I frozen? Frozen. Oh, I think they stopped it. Can you guys hear me still? Hear me?
Hello, yeah, I can still hear you, Rahim. I
Oh,
think
cool,
they
cool,
can
cool.
still.
Okay, cool, cool. All right, so multi-view things. So this is sort of like when you have this is more related to the Claude Code domain or not domain scenario where let's say like I want to do a change in a code base, but like that change goes over a large amount of files, right? So like one of the examples that we go through is like there's 14 files that I need to, that I want to change something in them that's related to. So we're going to want to do a tiered flow of data. Um, uh, here we go. Remember how, yeah, last time I talked about uh, Claude can be biased towards its own thinking, right? So if you give it a task and it's like, okay, you know, do this task, it does the task, and you ask it, hey, evaluate yourself how well you did on the task. It's biased, right? It still has the context of why it made the decisions that it made. Um, so you want to remove the bias by getting rid of that context, right? So we'll talk more about this in terms of multi-agent flow when we get to agents. But the big way to do this is like think about this way. So we have 14 files, right? The first pass, we're going to look at each individual file by itself and judge, like just look for bugs and any kinds of issues on each of those files, right? Then from all those individual files, we're going to move to the second pass, which is a new agent, right, that we spun up has no context of pass one. And remember also for pass one, all of the different files or the different individual file reviews that we did, they don't share context either, right? It's all kind of like context isolation. So pass two will look for any kind of integration issues, right? So integration in the sense that like, something in file one, file two, file three, like they share some interaction that the individual file pass can't catch it, right? Because it's isolated to just one. So the pass two looks for cross integration issues, meaning that it can find issues between files. And then the last one, like I said before, remember, I know I said it last time, so I wanted to correct myself, is pass three, you can have Claude rate itself, but you want to rate itself with no prior context of all the reasoning beforehand, right? Because like I said, Claude will be biased to what it knows. So you can do confidence findings if its context is isolated, right? So I said that incorrectly last session. So I want to make that clear here. You can use Claude to do rate confidence, but you want it to have its context isolated from all the previous ones. And then a real quick thing too, when we're doing like multi-agent stuff, right? So we have like, like the pass one, pass two, pass three, to speed things up, right? So we have, let's go. We'll start here, right? When we do this pass one right here, we're actually gonna set up agent one, agent two, agent three, dot, 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 agent 14, right? So we're going to actually do all of this in parallel. So we don't have to wait one by one by one by one, right? And then we take all of those files, context, and we dump it into pass number two, right? And pass two, we'll do the cross. I'll just do X for cross integration checks. I can't spell it. So yeah, and then that. So yeah, here are the big, 5 minutes. Cool. Yeah, here are the big ones. Same session, generating reviews. Bias carries over. Single pass across 14 files. You need to do the cross validation, otherwise you're going to miss the findings. Extended thinking as a substitute for separate. You can't tell Claude to think harder when it has a bias. It's not going to get rid of it. So like I said before at the end, the confidence routing, right? So in the canonical case here, I'm doing like a PR review, right? I don't want to report everything, right? Because if I report everything, we're going to have that decision fatigue from before with the with the smoke detector, right? So if we keep flagging everything, it erodes trust, and that's one of the big themes that's in the exam. We'll get back to we'll encounter it many more times. But yeah, so don't flag everything. A general way to think of it is like you can do if I'm classifying it between 1 and 5, right? 5 and 4, Claude can approve and let it go through. 3 and 2, human review, right? Like it's a common theme too. Is like if I can't pick it myself, let a human pick at it, and then if it's a 1, just throw it away. We don't need to check that. And then that's it. Right. So we covered self-revised view, right? It's always biased. Per file local pass, right? The one individually. Confidence routing, that's the last step. Cross-file integrations pass, that's step number 2. Independent review instance is for all of them, right? We want to isolate context so it does its task with no bias. And then, yeah. So yeah, just recap for all 4 subdomains real quick. 4.1 was vague versus or semantic versus categorical. 2 was knowledge base. 3 was tools and which tool use choice fits the best. 4.5 is how to do retrievables and then dealing with nulls and non-nulls. Sync versus batch, right? Sync is automatic. Batch is, wait 24 hours. If you can batch, if you can't batch, sync. And then lastly, when you want to do like big reviews, you need to do multiple reviews of it, right? Like splitting for the per local and then doing the cross integration and then doing any kind of routing you want at the end. But yeah, let's do that. That's a good place to stop. Next week, we'll be doing context management. I think this will probably be the easiest of the sections, but we'll see. Thank you. Oh, one last question, actually. No, I don't have enough time. Yeah, just wanted to ask if you guys thought the code examples were helpful. I'm not sure if it was helpful because if you don't have a coding background, it might look kind of intimidating. So not too sure how you guys feel about the code snippets. But yeah, thanks for everyone for coming. We will see everyone next Tuesday for Domain 5.
Mhm. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Yeah, I, yeah, it's a lot. Uh, Maybe I'll try doing like a diagram instead. We'll see. We'll see. I'll give it some thought. If you guys have any recommendations, oh my God, shoot me. If there's anything that you want me to do more of or less of, also shoot me. I appreciate any feedback, and I will try to make it better every time.
Okay. I'm ending this Zoom.
Yep. Thank you so much, everyone.